Alright, this video is going to be a wellness check on the Balboa hive. My last video, I took a frame of brood from Balboa and put it into that little nuke to try and boost the nuke and give them some brood. There was open brood on that frame, and I thought it was mostly just larvae, and then there was capped brood on the other side. 3 days after I put it in there, there were queen cells on the open brood side. And I thought, wow, they made those queen cells really fast. And then I posted the video, and a bunch of commenters pointed out that there's no way those were built in 3 days. Which means they were already being constructed in the Balboa hive. Which means there's something up with Balboa. And I didn't see those cells when I put them into the nuke. It just looked like a frame of open brood to me. I did not see any partially constructed queen cells. I mean, there were 5 good-sized queen cells on there when I opened it up 3 days later. So either they did something super fast, or there's a problem and I just missed it. So let's go check it out. So if you haven't been following along in this journey, this is the Balboa hive. This is the oldest hive and the strongest hive that we have here. This hive is named Balboa because she has survived 2 winters, and she is a survivor hive because she was, when I first got this hive, I inherited this hive from my neighbor. I have a whole playlist about this hive. This hive was on its last legs, and this was in late September of 2016. This hive was basically 5 medium frames in a 10-frame box, and that was it. I fed them, I built them up, the queen started laying, and she survived the winter. She came out of that winter with a little baseball-sized cluster in a medium box. She spent the entire summer last year building up. So in the end of 2017, she had built up into 2 10-frame medium boxes. Nice hopping hive. And then one day, I noticed a giant queen cell on one of the frames, and the original Queen Balboa was missing. And ironically, I had just named her Balboa because she had made it through that winter and built up the hive and survived. The next time I opened the hive, she was gone, but she left a big fat queen cell. That queen cell hatched. I have a whole other playlist about that. That queen cell hatched at the end of September last year, 2017, went on a mating flight, came back, and started laying in October last fall. She built up to have a 3-high medium box with 30 medium frames with quite a bit of resources. They came out of the winter totally booming, and I split this hive. This hive has now been split. There are 4 other hives now that came from this hive as of 2018. We have an awesome queen in here that survived a winter, and now I'm a little concerned because of all those queen cells that were made by the bees, which I believe now were made in this hive. So I'm going to go in here and see what's going on. In the spring, right after I split them, they just went crazy pulling in resources, and I supered them, and they filled the super. Every single frame was capped right across. So I moved that super up and put an empty super below. They've spent the entire summer doing nothing to this super, and now this super has gotten a lot lighter. We are looking for a queen, we're looking for more queen cells, and we're looking for eggs. There are a lot of bees in this hive. It's just not as heavy as it was in June. Lost a lot of weight. I'm going to look on the bottom first. This is a totally empty frame. It's all drawn out, but it's completely empty. These frames are extremely light. That's all pollen. Alright, I got a weird feeling about the hive now. So there's not a single egg in the bottom brood box. A lot of pollen in there. A lot of pollen and a lot of bees, and there's very little brood in the bottom. Okay, this frame has some weight. Hatching brood. Man, I am getting worried that this hive was making queen cells because they had a problem, and I took the queen cells out of the hive. That is my fear, because okay, we got 3 more frames to check. I've not seen an egg yet. Huge frame of brood. No eggs. Oop, there we go. We got a queen cell at the bottom. That looks like an emergency situation. Something's up here. Oh, there we go. There she is. She's there. Did something happen to you? Did you just get old in 1 year? I wonder if it's just like there was a dearth and she just stopped laying for a few weeks or something. Okay, there's larvae. Hard to see in these cells, but there's larvae in there swimming. This is a frame filled with larvae. If they needed, for some reason, to make another queen, this frame is perfectly suitable for that. She just stopped laying. I'm wondering if it's just the resources got slim and she just stopped. I don't see the little eggs, but it's filled with larvae and she's there. So I'm not going to stress out about it right now, but they definitely are super low on resources. All right, they have very little food. That's the takeaway from this inspection. All right, well, she's in there. She's recently laid eggs because there's a lot of larvae on one frame in that hive. They're very light on resources. They have the equivalent of probably one super full of honey right now, but there's nothing down below. We are hitting our fall flow, so the next several weeks should be a lot coming in here. What I'm going to do is just leave them for about a week, and I'm going to let them harvest, and then if they're still looking super light with no resources, I'm going to just start feeding, because I want this hive to survive. And there's just too many bees in there. There's so much brood. I want her to lay eggs and get through the winter. Kind of weird. Very unusual. Not Balboa-like. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, it's been 4 days since the combine. I'm going to have a look. Oh, they're combined. See these queen cells. Queen cells are still intact. And this whole thing here, that was all brood, and that all hatched in the last 4 days. That was an entire frame of brood. Queen cells are intact. They have combined themselves. We've not had bees coming down from the top and destroying queen cells. That was a fear. These are not the biggest queen cells. These are bigger than the others. All right, I gotta come back with some food for them, but that's all looking good. So this was a Balboa split, walkaway split, that I built up in a resource hive and then gave them their own 8-frame deep box. They've been in this 8-frame deep box for a few weeks now. Let's see if they're crowded. Just starting to draw this frame out. So that's a whole frame they have still room to use. They are drawing it out though. And there's our queen. That is a Balboa walkaway queen. Beautiful. Go queen. These hives all feel really light. There's brood, there's no nectar. She's laying up a storm. It's a healthy little hive, but they need to forage. They got to get out there and start getting some nectar. Look at that. Every frame is full of capped brood. I don't think they need a super. I think they need food. Okay, this was a new package walkaway split. After I moved them up into an 8-frame box, they were overflowing 8 frames, so I gave them a super. So we'll see what they did with it. They're just hanging out on it. So much pollen. That is gorgeous. Some weight on that frame. That's all brood. That's a heavy frame. Both sides. Tons of eggs. They're just super light. It's a larva frame. More eggs. Did not put eyes on the queen, but there are lots of eggs. Very vibrant hive, but no nectar. Oh, that's frustrating. Quick check of our nuke that we installed. This was installed July 14th, 15th or so. So they've been in here a month and a half. There were 5 drawn frames and 3 empty frames. Pollen frame, pollen, pollen, pollen. That's about it. Pollen on that one. Hatching brood. Okay, they drew this out. She laid it, capped brood. They drew this side out. No eggs yet. So that was done in the last month and a half. That wasn't there when I put the frame in. It was just an empty frame, so that's good. All right, well, I know she's got something in her because she did fill up a frame. The theme of today is that everybody is just short on resources. There's no nectar. Things were looking pretty bright the other day when all the goldenrod started. The activity was crazy. Now I've been in 5, 6 hives today, and they're all empty of nectar. All right, this is a new package walkaway split. This was a real hopping hive. This is the very first walkaway split I made back in May, and they were so built up. I gave them a super. The theme of the day is same here. They've done nothing on the super. Tons of eggs. This hive looks great, except there's no nectar. Tons of brood, pollen. This is a really strong, organized hive right here. This is from the new package queen. Everywhere that there's just a tiny bit of comb, there's an egg. There she is. Queen's up in this right there. Lovely queen, doing a lot of laying. Okay, well, relatively empty hive. It probably needs some food. So right over there, we've got about half an acre of buckwheat. Right about here, we've got probably half an acre of wildflowers and goldenrod. Probably about an acre total of just straight up wildflowers, like nectar producing wildflowers. And we live in the countryside, so it's not just our yard supporting 10 colonies, 11 colonies. We live like a quarter of a mile from a highway, and all along the highway is just wildflower prime time right now. A couple thousand feet away, a very big sort of reservoir area that is just filled with goldenrod. So, I mean, just over the hill is goldenrod, our goldenrod. Just up the hill we have goldenrod. It's prime flow time right now. So I don't know what's going on. It's all very, very peculiar. Part of me is saying, you know, let the bees figure it out, let them go forage and find the nectar and come back. And then part of me is saying they need to eat, and there's brood in the hives and they need to be fed. So I'm going to feed the smaller hives today. I'm going to put syrup on, which sounds crazy to me, but they need syrup. And I'm not going to harvest anything from them. They just need to start building. They need to build some comb, and they need to feed the brood. The bigger hives, I'm going to give them a little more time. I was hoping to be pulling honey off of 3 or 4 hives here in about a month. So I don't want to give them syrup because then that's going to sort of taint what honey I would have harvested. So I'm going to give them another week of foraging because they have the population to forage. And they're not out of food, they just are low on food. And if there's still no buildup in a week, then maybe I have to start feeding everybody, because once this ends, we're getting into winter time. So how's the flow where you are? Let me know in the comments. And maybe I just have too many bees. Maybe 6 hives is the sweet spot for this property. Maybe 5 hives. We shall see. Thanks for watching.